Okay, we should hopefully be streaming. Just a sec to double check if the Twitch is actually working. Should be. With a bit of luck. Go there. No? Is it? Should be. It is. Luckily. In which case, we can begin. Unfortunately, I recognised that during the recording of the last part, my microphone, sorry, wasn't actually connected in the proper way. So, while I was playing through the entire last part, I was reading it all out, doing a lot of talking, a lot of class explanation as well. Explanationing. But unfortunately none of it got recorded. Which means we are pretty much where we started. Well, at least I picked up the game audio slightly better than I did last time. Means, story-wise, I don't need to explain anything. At least not too much. Tells me, however, that my particular choices, the classes I had them made as, the reason I haven't multiclassed any of them so far, wasn't really explained too much. He also wouldn't have been able to pick up on the struggling I was doing in regards to which class and what level to actually multiclass out of Armature. I am greeting with a nod. Here for a chat? I've been waiting for you to come and see what strange beast you've taken into your party. What do you think of life on the surface? It must be very different from life underground. Of course. As far as living conditions, the surface is definitely a better place to be. It's easier to get good food and water, not to mention build a house. Even grow a few things. In older, well-established settlements, you don't have to deal with anything scarier than rats. Or maybe foxes stealing chickens. As for the kind of lives you have, I've heard a story about demon worshippers abducting a whole family and sacrificing them one by one while the others watched. But there was some brave Crusader knights nearby, and they killed the villains and saved everyone. I heard another story. A young blacksmith lost his arm in a fire, couldn't work to feed his wife and baby. They tried their best, lived hand to mouth. But they were still destitute. In the end, the desperate blacksmith robbed a traveller one night on the road. There were some brave Crusader knights nearby, and they caught the robber and threw him in prison. Not long after, his wife smothered the baby and hanged herself. Up here, the same person can proudly say he's protecting innocent from demons, and then look the other way when the same innocent starves just because they were born into a poor family. Queen Gallifrey prolongs her life with son Orchid Alexis that cost enough to feed an entire city. Back in our caves, everyone is equally poor. If one person starves, the whole tribe starves. We don't abandon our own in times of trouble. That's the power of a tribe. The laws of the surface are made so that someone can get everything while others get nothing. I might just be a naive fool from the caves, but I don't understand how it's possible to have so much more and share so much less. Anyway, look who I'm talking to. Must know life on the surface much better than I do. I'll go with this one because we are trying to be lawful. We're in a struggle for our own very survival against Ebus. There's no time to upend society in our quest for fairness. So you think if the world wound hadn't happened, the surface would have already changed for the better? I'm not so sure. I'm not even sure my kinsfolk wouldn't find their way to inventing their own autocracy. If they ever got their hands on anything valuable enough to divide unfairly. What's the point of being prince of all caves, holes and gorges if your only throne is a boulder and your only crown is made of rat skulls? Thank you for your answers. We're going to talk to him a bit more later. An imposing young aura is surrounded by a crowd of crusaders who hang on to every word. I hope this example clearly illustrates the difference between Justicar legionaries from the last war and the crusaders. The protection of form and spirit they were imbued with during creation turned them into parts of a well-balanced war machine. Not a ragtag bunch of individuals, but a united whole. Now tell me again why I'm supposed to be impressed by your reckless assaults, where everyone is fighting for their ego and for the right to bear their peers to a swift but pointless, heroic sacrifice? Some of the crusaders grumble unhappily, but it is clear that they are captivated by the woman's words. The only exception is a scraggly and dishevelled halfling monk, whose puffy black eye gives him away as a brawler and a troublemaker. He enthusiastically pushes forwards and tries to engage. One of his friends swiftly jabs him in the back with an elbow, making the poor fellow pause to catch his breath. Well, it looks like we've got ourselves a student of warfare. The woman gives you a suspicious look and raises an eyebrow. Were your words meant to recognize my achievements, or to start a fight the way Mendevian crusaders usually do? One of the crusaders angrily curls his fist tightly and retorts with a burst of passion. If those gists of yours, or whatever, had come for us, we'd have their guts for garters. You'd think we'd never fought a mighty adversary before. Soldier's stone facade cannot fully conceal his relish. He clearly plans to enjoy this confrontation. Crusaders around him look upon their exotic opponent with a mixture of irritation and piqued interest. The woman chuckles before cutting off her interlocutor. It's a little bit of a weird word there. I would love to see you storm a 60-foot-tall walking castle shaped like a gigantic elephant that carries siege fortifications on its back. I'll have you know, these fortifications were defended by Jiskan priest craftsmen armed with demon-bound war machines. They use enemies you cannot defeat as mindless weapons. The woman gives the people around her a triumphant look and adjusts her clothes with pointed nonchalance. Her voice takes on a lecturer's tone. You should not argue with someone who happens to be the most authoritative researcher on the history of warfare 3,000 years before the foundation of Absalom. The woman looks at you and flashes an amused smile. The lecture is over. Do my esteemed listeners have any questions? You are wrong to treat the Crusaders with such disdain. Allow me to explain. A debate? Oh, I'll be happy to prove that the current conflict can't hold a candle to the last war of Justicar. So many words already. Very well. The last war of Justicar was waged using a significantly greater number of troops. Both sides actively relied on reinforcements from allied planes, and their strategic planning was perfected through no fewer than 7 rounds of intensive design. None of the above applies to this war of yours. Compared to the Justicar, we are but stone club-wielding kobolds. I would like to concede my thesis with a few words of wise counsel from Dagon, an advisor to the Pharaoh of the Forgotten Plagues. I doubt you will comprehend the true genius of his statement, but here it is nonetheless. A gadfly sees the ox pays no heed to the gadfly, but crimson fever takes them both. 2 options. I'm going to go this one, I think. The events of the past are shrouded in legend, but the fate of a world is being decided here and now. That's what you fail to grasp. The earnestness on the faces of those around you has taken away Indara's panache, encouraging her to backtrack and stumble over her words. Of course, I'm not trying to diminish the importance of current events. What I'm trying to say is, from the standpoint of history, and particularly the history of warfare, she falls silent, fixedly staring at the unfriendly eyes of her audience. The true importance of these developments won't become obvious until later. Indara offers a pretentious dismissal. As a scholar, I cannot deny that there is certain truth beneath your skeptical statements. History is a complex discipline, rooted in fact, an evidentiary base that grows ever more meager the farther the described period is from the present moment. Of course, if I were to argue in bad faith, the Crusaders embellish their tales of slaying a single Baravak, adding a dozen Balors, for example. I could win this debate, but I am above such things, and therefore I am forced to admit that your skepticism is not entirely without merit. I'm sure you would be able to expound on your arguments in a longer discussion. Indara nods with obvious relief. I'm glad we both understand this limitation. It's always a pleasure to face a worthy opponent, even if the debate takes place in a grimy tavern. Grimy tavern. Perhaps especially because of that. Indara unbuckles her sword belt and hands you the weapon. This is a worthy blade. It will be of use not only for the strong, but also for the wise. And this is where I bid you farewell. Before the end of the day, I was planning to observe how winged demons use pack tactics to drive their prey like herds of livestock. It's about time I got back to my research. The hint of a smile graces Indara's lips when she sees disappointment in the eyes of many crusaders around her. Stay safe. And with that, she leaves. And that there is the monk that was about to start a fight, by the looks of it. Let's talk to Sela. Sela? Still don't know how to say her name properly. Sela, perhaps. She smiles at you warmly. Hey there. During that march through the dungeon, we never got a chance to exchange a proper greeting. It's high time I shake your hand. Eurobeth said your friend Jenna Adori is missing. Do you know where we should look for her? Eurobeth is worried about her fighters. I understand that. I wanted to look for Jaina myself, so I didn't distract you. And since you're in this too, I could use some help. Jenna and I met in Canabras a few days ago, and just hit it off. We went drinking together. We went to that unforgettable celebration together too, but we got separated in the crowd. So we should start looking for them from the main square. That's where I last saw her. She's a good fighter, even if she is green. She couldn't have become an Aldori otherwise. I hope that means she's alright. And just like then, we're gonna come back to her and speak to her later. Eurobeth we talked to just at the end of last one. Hillor, I believe, is where you buy merchants. Not merchants, mercenaries. Very different from merchants. Yep. Essentially in Kingmaker and also in Wrath of the Righteous, there's a guy like him that's usually available pretty early. It allows you to make NPC characters. Ones that don't have a story attached to them, like Ciela or what's another one? Amelia? But can be used. Especially since not every class in the game is representative of a character you can have, or in your party, so having the ability to have mercenaries that can fill that role does help. I do recommend using NPCs during your first playthrough, though, mostly because the builds aren't too bad normally. They all have quests attached to them, and the stories aren't half bad. Oh, August Worm. Here is this money. Here, take this. Yes, it's 2,000 gold coins. Take your payment and remember that August Worm always keeps his word. You helped me get back to the surface, and I duly paid you for escorting me. Now, speaking of future cooperation, August looks at you with unvarnished disapproval, his arms folded across his chest, his foot tapping impatiently. I have a job that would be perfect for someone like you. Naturally, I'll pay generously for your services. What do you mean, a job for someone like me? For an adventurer ready to sell their soul for booze and then lie down drunk in the gutter? Or do you think you're somehow different? A travel-running knight, perhaps? A noble of heart, but without a coin to your name? He sizes you up critically, then sighs and shrugs. You seem reliable enough of an ally to me, and you did get me out of those Mongol caves. So why should I care what you do with my money once you've got it? August seems like one of those people who think the entire world owes them something. However, you hear the notes of hysteria beneath his smug arrogance. It's as though he's really quite nervous, but taking great pains to conceal it. So what does this job involve? You shall be my bodyguard. You see, I have a good reason to return to my mansion here in Canabras. I still have, well, it doesn't matter. It's none of your business. My mansion is a breathtaking building with a large garden in the wealthy part of the city. Even before the demons attacked, every thief and fraudster in the city had tried to get inside one way or another. I shudder to imagine the state it's in now. I have little hope that my guards are able to hold the mansion during the attack, and I expect that the servants fled when they saw the demons. Only Abadar knows what's happened there since. Therefore, I would ask that you would meet me at my mansion and guard me there until I complete my business. I already asked the local paladins for help, but they have no desire to set a foot outside this tavern. Damn cowards and traitors, that's what they are. Also, please, do take Camellia with you. I trust that girl more than the rest of your gang. She is a noble birth, after all. And then we have to ask, because adventurers have to ask this all the time, what kind of reward are we talking about? 1,000 gold coins, August replies without hesitation. And of course, double the reward and I'll think of it. Of course, though, we fail. Huh. Yeah, right. For that kind of money, I could hire Queen Gallifrey herself to guard me. 1,000 is my final offer. We rolled a 7, plus 12, gets us to 19. If we had skill focus, we may have been able to actually do it. So close. Deal. Marvellous. Most excellent. His face relaxes, smoothing a few of his tense lines. I proceed to my mansion at once, and wait for you there. Meanwhile, you needn't worry. I know the city like the back of my hand. But do hurry, unless you want me to lower your reward. So, another quest we have to go to, in kind of a time limit. Camellia looks over you pensively, toying with the snake-shaped bone amulet that dangles from her pale neck. Noticing your glance, she flashes you a cold, barely there smile. Greetings. It seems to remember that she wants to say something else, but the pause grows too long, as she slips back into cautious silence. Tell me about yourself. You want to know more about me than you already do? Why? She arches a dainty brow. I talk to the spirits of this tormented land, and they guide me in battle. I'll help you fight the demons, and I swear that you can rely on me in this matter. Isn't that sufficient? Where did you learn to wield a rapier so well? I had good teachers, although they don't get all the credit. I was the most diligent student. She licks her parched lips. Your amulet is quite unusual. Where did you get it? Ah, my little trinket. It's so nice of you to notice, but I assure you, this amulet is nothing but a bauble. May a lady not be drawn to beautiful, useless things? Anyway, as much as I enjoy our delightful conversations, spirits are calling me, and I must respond. Please excuse me. She turns away, watching out of the corner of her eye. So she just promptly ended that conversation. And everyone else in here to talk to at the moment. Except you. Gunog. A young man in well-worn traveller's clothes and a simple wooden symbol of Aristil on his chest is efficiently cutting a linen robe into strips to use as bandages. Despite his visible exhaustion, he works with zeal, singing some tune about red braids and ripe sheaves of wheat underneath his breath. He raises his warm, chestnut-coloured eyes to you. Are you one of the Crusaders? Thank you for defending those of those... words. Thank you for defending those of us whose talents lie off the battlefield. I am Janurg, servant of Aristil. Pleased to meet you. What are you doing? I only took my holy orders recently, so my god has only bestowed a little of his power upon me as of yet. I'm sorry to say that the number of wounded fighters in this tavern is far beyond my power to heal. And there's reason, people say, have faith in the gods, but look to yourself first. I may not be able to help the wounded with magic, but I can at least cut up bandages. Are you from around here? No, I was just passing through Canabras. I was sailing down that old man of ours, the great Selene River, to a village by the name of Chilitweek. I happened to land in the city on the eve of the festival, and I'm ashamed to say I decided to stay for a day to enjoy myself, but I ended up staying in the city longer than I bargained for. Chilitweek, where is that? It's a small fishing village. It's not even marked on some maps, but people do live there. What they don't have is a priest. They have no one to heal their wounds, no one to offer prayers for a good catch, no one to give their dead a dignified burial. But the world wound is a stone's throw away, so I'll be setting sail for Chili Creek to serve my god and my people. Once we've held Canabras, I'll be going there. If by the grace of the good gods we all survive this, you should come and visit me sometime. You'll find the village here on the bank of a river. He marks it on our map. Aren't you a young and inexperienced cleric, afraid to go to the border of the whirlwind? I won't lie. I am afraid, but what can I do? This village is a simple people, like you and me. Every day their short lives are spent doing hard, honest work. That's exactly the kind of life I want. Something simple, but meaningful. If I had centuries ahead of me, like elves and some other races, I might have spared some 50 years or so to travel around the world. He says so with a smile. Or maybe even 100, why not? I don't have time to spare, so I want to spend my short life in a place where I'm needed most. Even if it's dangerous. Especially if it's dangerous. And I actually could use the help of Cleric. He makes a helpless gesture. Aristotle knows I'd be glad to help you, but it's no use. My spells are depleted, and I have no training in potions or scrolls. See this robe I'm cut out for managers? It's the second to last one. May Aristotle watch over you. Just something to keep in mind for the future, I suppose. Fawn Autumn Haze. A tall, fragile-looking elf sits in front of you, eyes closed. He is as pale as a ghost, his arm wrapped in a blood-stained bandage. You spot other bandages on his body underneath his clothes, but even in such a miserable state, he manages to keep calm. Raising his eyes to meet yours, he says faintly, I am Fawn Autumn Haze, at your service. His pale lips are reddened by blood, but you see no signs of pain or fear in his grey eyes. Do you need help? After giving you a cold, intense look, he shakes his head. Do not trouble yourself on my behalf. Allow your healer tended to me. Besides, I come from a resilient, hardy people. My body will endure both the wounds and the poison delivered through them. Who are you? My name is Fawn Autumn Haze. I've already told you this. I've come here from Kyoin because I'm a hunter, and all the minions of evil are my quarry. I won't say more than that, if you don't mind. We are strangers, and of different races and cultures. I'd rather not tell you more than is necessary. And then we have to continue pressing, because that's what adventurers do. Who wounded you? A sinner, an accomplice to demons. The quarry I'm hunting in this inhospitable place. I am Elsie, you can trust me. I might be able to help you. After a brief pause, it would be impolite to refuse such a direct and friendly offer. Who is your quarry here in Medev? I was hunting a fugitive, a discarite by the name of Kazle? Kaleza? Probably. It pains me to admit that they are heinous malefactors, such as her among my noble kind. Yeah. That entire sentence was a bit hard on the tongue. I managed to catch up to her in Canabras, and I wounded her. Then demons appeared, and the city was engulfed in flames. I was injured in the battle that ensued. I couldn't free her soul from its service to her dark masters. He expresses no anger or hatred as he speaks, only compassionate sorrow. I am sorry for your misfortune. I hope things will turn out differently next time. He purses his lips. There's no need for pity. Our ancient kind is blessed with great longevity. We gain a deeper understanding of the world than other races, and we learn our lessons better than anyone. That goes for learning from our mistakes as well. I survived, which means I will be more prepared when next we meet. I wish to aid you in your hunt. He covers his eyes warily. I thank you, but this is my mission. I am used to facing all manner of terrors on my own, and I do appreciate your willingness to help. If you do manage to meet a sailor, take caution. She's turned many innocent souls to the path of evil, and darkness has rewarded her with many gifts. Her appearance alone will tell you that. It is warped. Her agate skin, the malicious stare of her blood-red eyes, the bestial teeth. She is more monster than elf at this point. What does this castle look like again? We can't really get this in this reroll a natural 20, but her skin is dark, her hair perpetually white. Red eyes can see perfectly in the dark, which, to my dismay, I have come to know from experience. But bright light causes her kind pain. There is the alchemical powder that explodes in a dazzling flash. She cried out, as if I had stabbed her. It's clear that this woman is a faithful servant of darkness. It marks that Caslea's masters have left on her appearance to say as much. She sounds essentially like a drow. I have to go. Good fortune to you. And there was actually someone over here we needed to talk to. Slaughton Vale. The dwarf resembles an abandoned citadel. One with whose high, crumbling walls are still holding fast, but whose empty, lightless windows make it clear that all inside is dead. Oh, it's you. Good work back there in the Grey Garrison. My name's Staunton Vane. You've heard rumours about me. His face, which looks like it has never known anything as carefree as a smile, grimaces. Just so you know, everything people say about me, it's true. What do people say about you? They say I'm a traitor, as bad as Arlu Volesh. That I'm a disgrace, even among the ranks of the condemned. That Queen Gallifrey should never have spared me. That I belong in the gallows. Why do they hate you so much? You really don't know? Staunton gives you a long, morose look, and sighs. I'm the reason why the Crusade forces are holed up in a fortress on the edge of the world wound, instead of bringing the fight to the demons. We used to have a foothold in the wound, the mighty, unassailable city of Dresden. We used to have it until it fell, and all because of my stupidity. I gave the enemy our main citadel. I was tried. They wanted to execute me, and rightly so, but the Queen intervened. She said that I should live and fight in order to undo what I had done. And that's how I live. Decade after decade, fighting in the condemned. He shrugs. As you can see, I have fixed nothing. I've earned no one's forgiveness. So you're going to spit in my face too? That wouldn't surprise me. In with the lawful. You keep living and fighting with no hope for anything better, because that's what the Queen ordered you to do so. There is honour in that. You may be right, but you know, even stone and iron get worn down over time. I know what it means to live a regimented life, but I can't rely on my discipline alone forever. I prayed to Torog, but he does not listen. My body breaks before my conscience does. I need to talk to the elf who calls himself the Storyteller. Do you know where I can find him? The Storyteller? He strokes his beard, slowly in thought. A strange old fellow, that one. He used to sit with me for hours, asking all sorts of things. He never offered judgment or comfort. He just listened. At first I wanted him and his questions as far away from me as possible. But later I realised that talking to him did ease my burden a little. I hope he is alive and well. He's completely blind and feeble too, so if he's alone in the city, well, you probably know what that means. I do know one place he might be. Look for him in the Black Wing. It's a library. Here, I'll show you where it is on your map. I don't know what use the library is to a blind elf, but he loved the place. He would sit there day and night. The whole city fell because you? How is that possible? What do you mean, how? Matt glares at you from beneath his furrowed brows. You don't trust the word of condemned. Go ask somebody else. Like my little brother Joran. You still don't believe it. What's it to me? But if you're about to ask me to recount the story of my disgrace for the thousandth time, don't. And that we shall go. Go on then. Maybe we'll see each other again. Bit brusque, but overall, not a bad guy. A stout old man with a fuzzy grey beard mumbles a prayer. He looks as tired as everyone else in the tavern, but determination is stamped upon his haggard face. What can I do for you? Who are you? Vesali Ramithus, rector of the local temple of Abadar. The temple is gone though, and if we snooze here for much longer, the city will be lost as well. What is the boy with you? This one? Kaido, the shepherd, my apprentice. He's a smart boy, and his faith is strong. He serves Aristil though, but there's still something he can learn from an old servant of Abadar. He'll be a great cleric when he becomes a little older. What kind of help can I expect from you? First, I sell scrolls. I have a lot of them, something for every emergency. Second, while you're here in the tavern, I can read one for you. Guaranteed, no surprises. But you better not go into the city without a cleric. I won't be going there myself, I am too old. My powers are needed here. Well, let's see what he's selling. First thing first, we can sell them. Let's get them out of our inventory. We have a decent amount of money, so we're not going to spend, or rather sell, those items here, for now at least. Maybe we will. Bora Juskar was the sword we just got from the other woman. Short sword, flaming, enhancement 1, and finesse wielding. It's a good weapon. Good iron longsword. Don't need that. Old iron masterwork longsword. Don't need that. Old iron masterwork longsword. Don't need that because we have radiance at the moment, and no one else in that group uses longswords. Get rid of the composite longbows. The longbow. If any of our group used glaives, Marching Terror would be a really good one to have. Whenever this +1 glaive lands a hit on a new enemy for the first time, the target receives an extra 1d6 negative damage, and all other enemies in 15-foot radius must pass the will saving throw or become frightened for 1 round. It's really good CC. So those. This as well. Just everything we don't need. See? Extra 6,000 gold. I'm gonna keep flow of water though, that could be useful later. Now, I'm gonna get enough of those, just normally, I feel. Don't need those. Doesn't have anything down here that we need. He is essentially a scroll merchant, so if you have a wizard, this is the guy you want to see. He has a bunch of them. From ones that are just low level scrolls all the way up to, I believe, scrolls that are around level 7 or even 8. Actually, level 7 seems to be his highest, what I can tell at least. But to be honest, that's kind of respectable, because you don't actually need to be able to cast those spells to use the scroll. As long as you have the scroll in hand, you can use them. Oh, it actually does have level 8 scrolls. Forward Wilting is a great one to have. So if you found yourself in trouble but have a lot of money, just come here, and he'll help you out. So if you want to start making potions or making scrolls, again, he'll help you. You want to get enough money to have that, because that's going to help Camellia out considerably. Guardian Life is interesting, but I don't think that's going to be much use for most people, because getting Death Ward spell is actually pretty hard there. At least I think it is. Could be wrong about that. So the rest of this, no. So come back for that later. Let's go this way. And the basement of the inn is here. Let's loot everything we can. Let's grab it all. Let's see. Wow, that was a trigger. Of course, it's all the way over there where we actually can't see anything. I didn't realise it would trigger being that close. They literally half the room. It should have been quartered. I was them. That's fine. He did something spooky. This guy got spooked. That's pretty much what happened. Let's take everything here. And as you can see, a button. And levers. Can't remember the combination for it, and so let's just play around a little bit. That work? Yep. Pressed every button. Not every lever. There we go. It's a little secret area over here. Which is a helmet, a bunch of scrolls, potions, a headband of alluring charisma. Pretty useful. Not so much for us, but it does help out Hardened friend over here, to be honest. Watch the saves down here. It's gonna go up. let's talk to this spooky
Hey,
man.
Chief! Ooh, hey, gorgeous. Come over here. I want to talk to you about something. Something really important.
Quit bothering the decent people in here, Woljif, or I'll knock your teeth out!
The young tiefling sits cross-legged on the floor. He looks relatively calm for someone in shackles, but his tail whips back and forth in agitation. Noticing your attention, the tiefling sits up and beckons you over. And of course, that's what he said.
What's it to you, Delvin Dum-Dum? You were told to guard me, and I'm not stopping you. But no one told me I had to shut my trap.
Who are you?
Woljif. Woljif Jefto. I deal in useful things. I can get you whatever you want. Anything. But there's just one problem.
What do you want from me?
I'll lay it out for you. Simple job, 30 minutes tops. We go someplace, talk to someone, and in return, whatever you want, I'll get it for you. Some extra rations? No problem. Armor, weapons, scrolls, you name it. It's as good as yours. If you need my help with something, whistle and I'll be there. I'm handy enough with knives too, and even my magic know-how isn't too shabby.
When anyone tells you that it's going to be a simple job that's only going to take 30 minutes, you know almost instantly it's going to take at least 3 times as long.
What a load of guff! If you were good at magic, you wouldn't be stuck in here now, would you?
Don't you listen to him, Chief. He'd find fault with the Queen herself. I'll be useful to have in battle, and I'll sell whatever you want at a reasonable price. It's your lucky day. You won't meet another gem like me in Canabras.
I can't help while you're chained up in here. How can I free you?
That's easy. You know Irabeth? Feisty-looking gal, always wears armor. You can't miss her. She's the meanest fighter in the whole city. When you see her, put in a good word for me, will ya? Tell her there's this guy, Woljif, locked up for no good reason in the Defender's Heart. Well, for the follies of his youth. And he really wants to get out on bail so he can keep up his good behavior and make a contribution to society. You got that? Will you do it?
Alright, I'll talk to Irabeth about your situation.
I knew I could count on you. Knew it the moment I laid eyes on you.
Why are you in chains though?
Does it really matter? Don't get hung up on the past, Chief. Don't look to the future. Live in the here and now.
That's a chaotic lifestyle.
He was caught thieving.
Yep, makes sense. Your shadow, what was that?
Get me out of here and I'll tell you. And don't worry, it's not contagious.
That just makes me think it's contagious. We'll talk later. I swear that he is 100% suspicious. Let's go over here. Talk to Irabeth. And get him out. Good behavior, I suppose. Irabeth rubs her red and tired eyes. Any success? How's the city? I don't need to talk anything else. We covered that. Covered that. I'm gonna ask you for some questions. That's later. We'll watch later. There is a tiefling chained up in the Defender's Heart. What can you tell me about him? Erebus shrugs scornfully. Woljif is a petty thief from a gang of thieflings operating in Tenebris. That's what we call them in these parts. They tried to rob a vendor of magical items recently. Unfortunately, we apprehended only one of them. The rest managed to escape. We have nowhere else to keep him apart from Defender's Heart. That's hardly a prison. Woljif knows it too. He's been begging us for days to let him go free or have someone vouch for him. He's already asked you to put in a good word for him, hasn't he? She squints at you, thoughtfully, then shrugs. If you want to recruit Woljif and put him to good use, go ahead, and take him off our guard's hands. We can ill afford to let a soldier spend their days watching over a middling thief. Hope the tiefling proves useful, should you decide to take him along. And we will. To be honest, even if you don't like Woljif, do his questline. Because he does open up a few extra things, and of course, gives you experience. Go ahead, don't take too long though.
Well, Chief, what do you got for me?
I talked to Irabeth, and I've decided to make you part of my troop. We'll see how this goes.
Ha! You must be a smooth talker. Come on, Delvin, get these bracelets of yours off me. I'm going free.
You're sure to regret this. This tiefling will fleece you for everything you've got. Mark my words.
Delvin is a man of very little faith in other people.
You're a bitter little man, Delvin.
Or perhaps he's just
Petty
jaded.
and mean. You can't even be happy for me, can you? I pity you. I'll leave you alone with your sad little soul. So long. And now, Chief, straight down to business. You see, I'm one of those guys that people around here call thieflings. We just call ourselves the family. After we knocked over that shop and I got stuck here in the Defender's Heart, a little bird told me that Big Sister Karisme wanted to see me. That she had some questions to ask me. You following? Now, she won't be asking me questions like, Woljif, how'd you manage to get out of this one? Or, Woljif, you're so thin, didn't they feed you? No, something serious has gone down, and I just know they want to try to pin something on me. I can feel it in my tail. So, I knew right away that I couldn't go alone. You turned up just in time, Chief. You don't need to do anything when we get there. Just stand behind me and look mean, and I'll handle the rest. Somehow. Let's go, I'll show you the way.
And just like that, we have a Woojif in our party. Now, if I remember correctly, he doesn't need to get leveled up. He starts at level 3, which means it's good and bad. 1, you don't have to level him up. 2, he can't be really customized for a little bit. He is built somewhat okay. Let me rephrase that. He's built in a way that's really favourable to a normal rogue. And even for an Eldritch Scoundrel, he actually does have the intelligence to pull that off somewhat well. Though, not that many people tend to like Eldritch Scoundrel. Or rather, they mostly just prefer the prestige class that is pretty much Eldritch Scoundrel. That said, he's actually pretty good in his own way. There are obviously better characters than him, but if you want to take him along, if you like him, by all means, go ahead. And we are outside of the inn. Here's the blacksmith, drawer in vain. Grizzled dwarf turns a blade in his car's hands, carefully inspecting its edge. When he sees you approaching, he sets the blade aside and greets you with a nod. A new face in the city? Picked a good time to come to Canabras. As you can see, we're in sore need of warriors. Do you know everyone at Canabras by sight? Well, not everyone. But I make it my business to know people who might need my services. Blacksmith's work isn't just at the anvil, you know. Are you Stilton Vane's brother? Yep. Where he goes, I go. That's how I've always done it. Even before the world wound. I've forged the armor, he goes into battle and breaks it. It comes back to me and I repair it, make it better than before. Everything has changed since then, of course, but part of me is staying the same. How is Stilton to blame for the falls, Dresden? I've told this story so many times already. Well, telling it one more time won't kill me. He sighs. Dresden was first built after the First Crusade, back when it seemed victory was ours for the taking, and that the demon invasion would soon be at an end. The population of old Solcanus was thoroughly diminished, and many of them hoped to see their hard fighting repaid with a small plot of unclaimed land. Dresden was a fortress built on all our hopes, and of Meddem's ambitions. They are not supposed to say that out loud. And why?